Zafar Saab, on to you. Given where we are at right now, what is the potential of corporate social responsibility? Are there examples of sustainable, impactful work done at scale? And how can CSR be at the forefront of the developmental agenda?
That's it.
That's it for now.
It's a small question. Kamla, BAT team, Sarah, British High Commission team, thanks for organizing this event today. Very enlightening for me. I've been well aware of the work of BAT, but what I saw today is it's really overwhelming. And the kind of work that BAT is now planning to do, as I heard from Kamala, Dr. Rawal also talked about it, is something that is the need of the hour, and that's really necessary. So answer your question, it's very difficult to put a number to the potential of CSR. We have this myth, and let me break your myth today, that we are perhaps one of the most charitable contributing countries in the world. That's not true, by the way. So that then permeates into the CSR contribution also. And I've done some numbers, and I was looking at some studies. And the number right now is somewhere close to 20 billion rupees. And it's growing at a pace of 15 to 20% every year. So it's really a drop in the ocean when you look at the problems of Pakistan. The problems of Pakistan, just to put things in context, if I were to pick just one basic necessity area, which is low-cost housing, the incremental requirement for low-cost housing is 300,000 houses every year. And we're very proud of being associated with Dr. Yasmin Lari's Heritage Foundation and done 2 pilot projects, one in Mirpur Khas Sindh in Puno village, and the other one in Rujhan, Rajanpur in Punjab. And then taking the numbers from there, only to meet this incremental low-cost housing requirement would exhaust this 20 billion number every year. So therefore, then we have the climate issues, then we have the education piece, especially the skill development that we talked about, that BAT is actively working on or willing to pursue in women, especially, and also, for example, in health, and particularly mental health. Given all of that, CSR will always remain a finite number, but given our situation and size of the country that we are operating in, the requirement for CSR funding will be infinite. So therefore, there is a need to change the mind, look at things differently, and try and blend or mash the CSR funding with the main line of business. And when I say this, what does that mean? That means that we need to pick those projects up that will have some kind of financial viability, but at the same time will also benefit our organization one way or the other, but at the same time, it will help us in making that impact which is important for the society. So when we talk about mental health, for example, it's a societal impact. One person with the mental disability is a problem within the organization and outside within his community as well, his or her community as well. We do to contribute on our part, and I would like to quote that as an example of what is required to be done in terms of, making the CSR more impactful in a country like Pakistan, which has infinite need for development funding. And that's where we talked about the blended structures as well. So when we worked with Yasmin Lari Sahaba on Heritage Foundation, she just simply refused that she will accept any donations from us. For us, it was very convenient to give the donations. She wanted us to contribute to an endowment fund sort of an arrangement, whereby we could extend an interest-free or deeply subsidized financing to women who build their own climate-resilient houses, and then that money will come back and recycled, and they can create their own livelihood also through climate compliant stoves, and around the community also do the development which is necessary. And that worked really very, very well. We have been able to extend that interest-free financing to them. The portion of the, and this is now we are conceiving at a larger scale. So these two were done as a test. And now what we are planning to do is that we are, and we've already prepared a proposal. I'm happy to share it with Dr. Raval, with you, and as well as Kamala, where we have devised a plan to have, and by the way, the backlog of low-cost housing is 10 million. So we are targeting to cover this 300,000 plus another 700,000 every year. So 1 million houses every year through an arrangement whereby, and somebody talked about collaboration also, this can't be done without an inclusive arrangement and collaborations. So we'll collaborate. There is a representative from a Huwat here, for example. We'll collaborate with the Huwat. We'll extend the funding to them because they require the funding. And that subsidy piece on the interest will come through the CSR funding piece, not just from us, but from the other corporations as well. We've already developed a model around it. And Dr. Yasmin Lari she's in Cambridge these days. She's taken it back there. And she's talking to various players to come and contribute. And similar thing we did, and I'm quoting those examples which Beating and relate to quickly. In our case, we also recognize the fact as corporation that mental health is something which is real, which is very much prevalent, and we need to do something about it. So we got a psychiatric analysis done for all our branch managers, all our operations head, and the people top to down at the division head level. So there were around 1,600 people. And then we make them realize that this is not a stigma. This is important for your own development, for your further promotion. We put a weightage to it in their promotion criteria also. And then start working with them. There were certain cases who required that help. And then start working them in a very discreet way. Only HR and they would be aware of what is required to be done. So creating a livelihood for women, and on the other hand, on the mental side also, as a responsible corporate, we think this is important for the company, for the community, and for the future sustainable growth of the country. The mindset in the corporate sector needs to be changed in the sense that, CSR should not be treated as greenwash. It has to have a real impact on your business, on your future growth, and that's the way you have to look at it and pursue this.
Of the conversation here has been more like an integrated and a more inclusive growth, and reflecting on the challenges that the country is going through right now. What in each of your areas you feel is one priority at this point that you would want to focus, whether collectively, individually, or from an organization's perspective?
Also worked very closely with the RSPs. I was the convener of the Kamya Pakistan program. So what we talked about in India, I studied that model to replicate here in Pakistan. Extremely impactful program. And we need to take that forward again. I'm still working with the government to make, although there's no government representation here, but I'm kind of semi-government, so let me just come for their rescue. So I'm working with them on this women entrepreneurship program, Shandana, but on the low-cost housing, it's gone on the back burner, but we can talk about it, how we can work together as RSPs. Because the real, look, the banks have their own, or any other corporation have their own limited resources in terms of delivery. RSPs have to deliver it for us, but we need to package it in such a way that it would work for the benefit of the entire community at a larger scale. I'm wearing two hats right now. One is the Bank of Punjab hat, which I've already talked about a lot. And there, very simple terms, it's collaborative. We have to work with Shandana, we have to work with Shahrukh, we have to work with Sarah, and then come out with the financial inclusion. By the way, Shahrukh bhai, your entire campaign missed financial inclusion. in Aman Ki Asha, because my thesis is that the financial inclusion can lead to tolerance and peace also. So that's the center of the plate as far as I am concerned. And that financial inclusion piece or financial literacy piece would lead into that women entrepreneurship, the livelihood that we talked about, the low-cost housing, the skill development that we've talked about, and also on the mental health side. So that collaborative effort is required from funding aspect, not just the education funding. Kazim is sitting here, is working on how the funding can be done for students. For skilled students, it's much easier, by the way. And then subsequently, for entrepreneurship, whatever funding is required, that collaborative effort would come. And as I explained the model earlier, with the blend of CSR funding and the main line of business for us, working together with the Hoovers of the world, RSPs, would do the trick. The other hat that I'm wearing is not mentioned here. I'm the chairman of an ENP, largest company in Pakistan, which is Oil and Gas Development Company. And in terms of CSR contribution, by the way, that's probably the largest. And the 10% of the CSR funding comes from that company alone, out of that 20 billion. Now, there, the priorities will be very different. The priorities should be on the environmental side. Being an ENP company, the environmental piece becomes very critical. And that is the need of the hour. That's a real risk that we're talking about. We've seen what happened in the recent flooding, which is a consequence of climate situation. We need to work on that particular aspect. We need to work on how we can promote the green initiatives, particularly on the energy side, for example, solar and all. And that is what needs to be done. The point is that there is so much that is to be done, and I'll say that in Urdu, sorry Sarah. कहाँ से कहाँ तक सुनोगे कहाँ तक सुनाऊं ये तो हमारी तो दास्तान ये है कि it will continue and it's a never ending story really. It will we have to work together in collaboration, everybody compartmentalizing with their main line of business, and the CSR could come as a support to it. Thank you.